So now we come to the next session from Adharaniya Dr. Shubhra Chakraborty ji. Adharaniya Dr. Shubhra Chakraborty ji is the founder and CEO of Poshan and has been the winner of over 24 national and international B school competitions. And she is currently in marketing as marketing manager in Philips Healthcare. And she has been one of the first achievers of CI letter of recommendation when she was doing CI internship with us. In fact, you must have heard in her session in one of the previous master classes also. And she is going to take her session on very important topic, especially in the ongoing season of placements, campus placements. Her topic of today's session will be how to ace your group discussion and PIs, the personal interviews. And she will be sharing the trade secrets of how she cracked her PPO and how she was one of the most successful student during her MBA. So do pay attention to what Adharaniya Dr. Shubhra ji is going to share with you. So I invite Adharaniya Dr. Shubhra ji to take this session forward. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, Adharaniya Shri Bhai ji. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. A very warm and loving Om Namah Shivaya to all the interns, senior CI leaders, as well as the team leaders who are present here today. Before I start, actually, I would request if I could be made a presenter because I'm unable to share my screen. So once I can do that, then I'll start sharing my PPT. Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Bhai ji.
The option is on, Adharaniya Shubhra ji.
Okay.
You can try.
Okay. I'll try. Yes, I think you're all able to see my screen. Just let me know and then I can start.
Yes, we are able to see.
Wonderful. So again, a very warm and loving Om Namah Shivaya to all of you. My session is how to ace your GDPI processes. Guys, अभी placement season चल रहा है, कईयों की summer internship चल रही है, खत्म हो गई है, कईयों का final placement season भी आ रहा है. In fact, a couple of you must have already gone through your placements already. So for all the students whose placements are upcoming, please make sure कि आप notes लें इस session में. एक notebook और pen अपने साथ में रखना because I have a lot of ground to cover and I'm going to take it a little bit fast. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask them towards the end of the session. And my aim for this session is कि मैं जितनी देर भी आपके लिए ये session ले रही हूँ, you have a very good understanding for your GDPI process कि आपको prepare कैसे करना है, क्या-क्या parameters आपके काम के हैं, and especially जो recruiters, what do they look for while they shortlist a candidate during your GD round or your PI round. Recruiter या HR वो क्या देखते हैं ताकि वो आपको select करे. Not only that, what are the things that companies look for when they post a job they post a job opening or when they hire for live projects and internships. So we are going to cover all that good stuff. Just make sure that you stay with me. अगर नींद आ रही है तो आप जाके पानी पी के आइए. But इस 25 मिनट आप प्लीज ध्यान से सुनिए, ये आपके बहुत काम आने वाला है. Okay, so with that, I will start. The first topic that I'm going to cover is the group discussions because after shortlisting, the first thing that you guys go through is GD. In the upcoming sessions, I'll also take one complete session on CV building, that is how to build your resume, because CI internships greatly helped me build my resume and make it attractive for a recruiter. As somebody who had no experience before my MBA, this was something that greatly gave me an edge. In fact, it helped me get selected for my PPO and for my internship above other candidates jinko relevant work experience tha. So there was two of my batchmates, one of whom had an experience with Siemens. Siemens is a healthcare company, and another one of my batchmates, in fact, she was there in my hostel floor itself. She had a work ex with Johnson and Johnson, which is very relevant work ex. But I got selected over that. Why? Because I knew how to structure my CV, how to navigate my GD round, and placement या placement interview में बोलना क्या है. So these are some tricks and tips and secrets that I learned through the CI internship, especially when I listen to the masterclass. I really advise all of you to listen to the masterclasses carefully. Yogesh ji, Adanya Yogesh ji used to take a wonderful session on what it is that recruiters want. I think we will request him to take a session like that again. And also he took a very good session on sales. So a lot of my questions were on sales and marketing, so I could really relate and I could answer in a way that the recruiter wanted, guys. ठीक है, तो मेक श्योर कि आप ध्यान से सुनिए क्योंकि ये सब आपके काम आने वाला है. So in GD, you have to create GD topic database, because broadly, what are the kind of GD topics that companies ask? So you have 4 categories. First is current affairs. Current affairs, the companies will ask to check if you are abreast of the happenings that are going on around you. Especially इसमें current affairs किस चीज का? Mostly business. But overall, make sure कि आप बाकी topics का भी थोड़ा थोड़ा ध्यान रखें. And business में जो भी हो रहा है, make sure that you are very well versed with that. Then you have specialization topics. For example, if you are from marketing specialization, HR, operations, consulting, finance, then you might be given those kind of topics, especially, and I'll tell you when you get these kind of topics, when the company has a very specific JD. क्या होता है campus hiring में, especially in MBA and in engineering and in BBA, when they hire from campus, they don't have that specific of a JD prepared. उनका ना अपना इंटरनल कैलकुलेशन रहता है टैलेंट एक्विजिशन, जो कैंपस रिक्रूटर्स होते हैं, कि भाई मार्केटिंग से 4 बच्चे उठाने हैं, ऑपरेशन से 2 उठाने हैं, फाइनेंस से 3 उठाएंगे, मे बी एचआर से हम 4 उठाएंगे. सो दैट इज यूजुअली देयर इंटरनल कैलकुलेशन बेस्ड ऑन द काइंड ऑफ वेकेंसी दैट दे हैव फॉर द मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी बैच. But you have specific companies, like you have banking companies, you have consulting companies. Kai companies, for example, I think I remember ITC was there and Bajaj was there. So they had come for specific marketing based roles. So they are the companies that will ask you for specialization topics, because they want to know if you are well versed with your own specialization. तो इसमें आपके जितने भी principles है, आपके जितने भी frameworks है और उनका application. For example, आपने 4 P's and 7 P's of marketing पढ़ा होगा, but are you able to apply it? Are you able to fit it into a structure of a business case? ये वो लोग test करते हैं. Then you have abstract topics. Abstract topics are an absolute favorite of marketing based companies or branding or sales, and I've seen a couple of them go to HR type of companies as well. So why do they ask abstract topics? To check if you are able to think on themes. मतलब अगर आपकी पहले से कोई प्रिपरेशन नहीं रही है, आपको वो टॉपिक नहीं पता है, still you are able to interpret the themes that go with the topic. And for me, this was my absolute favorite topic, क्योंकि आप कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. But again, if you get an abstract topic, make sure if you are in marketing, then you relate it to something in marketing, you relate it to some kind of principles. If you are in operations or maybe in finance, आपके जो frameworks हैं या आपकी जो theory है, उसमें कहीं ना कहीं relate करिए. And one good example from the market you have to give. Guys, write it down in your notebook, क्योंकि ये slide में नहीं लिखा हुआ है. If you are given an abstract topic, ठीक है? For example, if you're given a topic like orange is the new black, ठीक है? So you have to talk about the color orange, right? I'm sure you must have seen orange is used a lot in packaging. Orange is used in a lot of food companies. Orange is also used in a lot of beauty products. For example, when they show vitamin C wala face serum. Why? Because it represents hope, brightness, appetite and youth. These are the 4 things जो orange दिखाता है. So make sure that you give 2 industry relevant examples in abstract, because that really helps with your candidature. Then finally, you have GD case studies, and this they test out to see if you can do end-to-end solution for a problem that you have been given. And this is something which I learned through CI internship, because in CI internship क्या होता है, आपको एक पूरा केस प्रोजेक्ट मिलता है, या आपको जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आई वाज वेरी सीरियसली डूइंग द सेल्स मॉड्यूल ड्यूरिंग माय इंटर्नशिप. तो मैंने उसको एंड टू एंड सॉल्व किया था. मतलब जो सेल्स मॉड्यूल था उसमें मैंने 1-on-1 आउटरीच किया था, मैंने उसका मार्केटिंग कैंपेन बनाया था. उसके बाद कुछ ट्राइबल प्रोडक्ट्स थे, तो मैंने उनके लिए एक ऑनलाइन मार्केट प्लेस जैसा सिस्टम बनाने का कोशिश किया था विद अ फ्यू ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स. आई हैड डन एसईओ मार्केटिंग फॉर फेसबुक एंड इंस्टाग्राम. मतलब मैंने उसको एंड टू एंड किया था. So when you do those kind of projects, then you will be able to solve GD case studies very easily, because here they see your capacity to completely take a project from its initiation to its fruition. Okay, I think in the coming PPTs, I'm going to talk about the GD case studies. And I don't know if it's there in the PPT or not. Write it down, because it's an important point. If you are given a caselet during your PI, or if you are given a case during your GD, follow the PAA technique. PAA, ठीक है, P और double A, that is plan, analyze, ask. So whenever you are given a GD case study, या अगर आपको PI में भी कोई case study मिलता है, so P stands for plan. That is, plan out your mode of action. What are the milestones that you need to cover to achieve this solution? ठीक है. The first A stands for analyze. What are you going to analyze? You are going to analyze the alternative solutions if the first solution that you're thinking of does not work. क्योंकि क्या होता है, कई बार आप आंसर देते हो रिक्रूटर को या इंटरव्यूअर को और वो बोलते हैं नहीं भाई ये तो नहीं काम करेगा, ये तो सही नहीं है. At that time you need to have two alternative solutions ready to talk, to talk about with your interviewer or with the person who is conducting your placement. Believe me, ये उनको बड़ा impress करता है, क्योंकि कई बार even I sit on recruitment panels and intelligent बच्चे होते हैं, वो कुछ अच्छा आंसर देते हैं, मैं जानबूझ के मना करती हूँ कि नहीं ये जो तुमने बोला ये गलत है, अब क्या. So at that time, the candidate who is able to supply me with two other alternative solutions, that okay ma'am, अगर ये आपको नहीं लग रहा conducive है, so how about we do it this way or we do it that way, that really impresses a recruiter. ठीक है, the first A is analyze, the second A, ठीक है, PAA technique है ना, तो the second A is ask. That is, whenever you are given a case in your GD or PI, make sure you ask at least two good relevant questions to the recruiter or to the GD moderator. क्योंकि मैंने कई बार देखा है that you give a topic to students और वो धर धर लिखना लग जाते हैं अपनी नोटबुक में और they start finding out the solution. At that time अगर कोई और पूछ नहीं भी रहा है तो you make sure that you ask two good questions related to the case to the recruiter, because it shows to the recruiter that you have the capacity of strategic thinking. So I hope आपने ये लिख लिया है, अगर नहीं लिखा है तो end of the session में मुझसे पूछ लेना, मैं फिर से बता दूंगी. I'll be moving a little fast, so you have to keep up with me. Now, the first principle that I always teach during my GDPI session is you always make sure that you quote data points in the GD, because the moment you are able to quote solid data points, it puts you leaps and bounds ahead of other candidates. Also make sure that you quote relevant data point. For example, अगर कोई automobile industry की बात हो रही है और आप global warming का index बता रहे हो, तो that will not relate, right? So relevant data points are very very important. How do you get those data points? क्योंकि हम सबकी मेमोरी इतनी शार्प तो नहीं है कि नींद से उठा दिया और हम डेटा पॉइंट्स बताने लग गए, राइट? अचानक से नहीं याद आता है, और जीडीपीआई में तो ऑलरेडी वी आर सो नर्वस. So during that nervous state, it is very difficult for us to code these data points. So what I used to do, I used to keep a notebook with me, एक छोटा black notebook रहता था, and whenever I'm reading the newspaper or I'm watching a YouTube video, yeah, I'm going through some website, or whenever, even if I'm watching the news and some kind of data point की बात हो रही है, for example, post the opening of the lockdown after the second wave, the Indian economy has jumped by 1.3%, or maybe the GDP has increased, or the tourism industry has seen a bump in 13%. These kind of data points, अगर economy से related कितने भी data points है उसको लिख लो, and मैं उसको रोज revise करती थी. You need to revise them daily so that you know them by heart. What will happen whenever you have a GD round? Economy से related GD आप कहीं पर भी घुसा सकते हो. So this is a very useful shortcut to make a good impact. Also, you can create an Excel sheet, and I used to do that. In that Excel sheet, create 8 to 9 different headings. ठीक है, अलग-अलग tabs बना लेना. So if, for example, you have one tab for, let's say, FMCG, one tab for IT, one for healthcare, one for automobiles, one for maybe technology or consulting or cloud computation, or अलग-अलग जो industries होते हैं, you can take 8 to 9 important industries. और ऐसी रैंडमली नहीं लेनी है वो इंडस्ट्री. आप कैसे डिसाइड करोगे? यू गो थ्रू योर कॉलेज लास्ट ईयर्स प्लेसमेंट रिपोर्ट. आपके लास्ट ईयर आपका कॉलेज एक प्लेसमेंट रिपोर्ट पब्लिश करता है, तो उसमें ना वो एक कैटेगरी, एक पेज ऐसा बनाते हैं जहाँ पे दे राइट व्हाट वर द कंपनीज दैट केम टू आवर कैंपस लास्ट ईयर, है ना. दे विल टेल यू अबाउट द कंपनीज दैट हैव कम लास्ट ईयर. तो उसमें आप देख लो कि भाई कौन सी इंडस्ट्री की कंपनीज आ रही हैं. Based on that, you make these headings, and whenever you come across a data point, you can directly put them under these headings. This will also help you in, I think, systematically bifurcating your data. So this was something that helped me. Market research reports, for example, I always was interested in marketing and branding. I wanted to go in that industry, and then I saw that okay, मेरे college में healthcare company आ रही है, so maybe I could try for healthcare marketing. So I made sure कि मैंने 2 market research reports अच्छे से पढ़े थे. Why? क्योंकि उन market research reports में I got to know of a lot of important data points for my industry. A few other sources are, you have the budget, Then you have Economic Times, Financial Express. For people who are interested in marketing, there is IBEF. इनका website है, Indian Brand Equity Foundation. There you will get a lot of really good data about marketing and branding industry. If you're interested, especially in FMCG or FMCD type of industry, यहाँ से आप उठा लेना. Then you have Live Mint and industry market research reports. So how do you access them? Normally ये paid होती है, Euromonitor, Emerald जैसे platforms में मिलती हैं. But because you are a college student, so your college also will have their membership, so you won't need to pay anything. I know कॉलेज में लाइब्रेरी में बहुत ज्यादा जाते नहीं है अपन लोग, लेकिन जाना लाइब्रेरी में जाना और वहां पे पूछना हाउ कैन यू एक्सेस द कॉलेज मेंबरशिप ऑफ इंडस्ट्री रिसर्च रिपोर्ट्स, एंड आई एम श्योर यू विल गेट गुड एक्सेस टू देम. Now coming to company wise analysis, so a lot of students ask me कि मेरे कॉलेज में ये कंपनी आ रही है या 4 दिन बाद मेरे कॉलेज में ये कंपनी आ रही है. So what are the things that I need to prepare for a company, right? हम हमेशा बोलते हैं GDPI में that the more you research on a company, the more it gives you an edge over others. Believe me, it gives you an edge. In fact, for my interview, for my second round of interview, because mine was a global MNC, so one foreigner had interviewed me. I still remember, and I couldn't even pronounce his name. He had interviewed me, बट मुझे जैसे ही पता चला था कि ये मेरा इंटरव्यू ले रहा है, मैंने उसकी पूरी की पूरी जन्म पत्री पढ़ डाली थी. आई हैड डन माय रिसर्च ऑन दैट इंटरव्यूअर, व्हाट वाज हिज कॉलेज, before coming to this company, where else was he working, what were the projects that he was handling, what was he doing, those kind of things. So make sure you do research on the interviewer who is coming to your college. Apart from that, company wise analysis में अब आप क्या क्या पढ़ोगे? So in that, what does the key product or services the company provides? Vision, mission, values are very important nowadays. These people are very particular about their vision, mission statement. तो उनके ना हर कंपनी के 4 से 5 की वैल्यूज होती हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं ऐसे रैंडमली बोल रही हूँ, टीम अप टू विन एंड अ कपल ऑफ अदर्स. मेक श्योर आप रट्टा मार के जाओ और वहां पे कोट करना. दे रियली लाइक दैट. यू शुड नो द मार्केट कैप, P&L, पोर्टफोलियो, ब्रांड, सब ब्रांड. इसको नोट कर लेना. ऑल दीज हेडिंग्स आर वेरी यूजफुल फॉर यू. What is the competitor analysis? What is the leadership team like? Is there any particular campaign that is going on currently? If it is a service based company, then what are their clients? So उनके website पे clients मिल जाएगी. For example, you have Salesforce and a couple of IT companies, so उनके आपको clients मिल जाएंगे website पे. Any particular HR practices, any awards that they have won, right? इसका एक फोटो ले लो, ये आपके काम आएगा. Make sure you go over all of this. And last point is important, any CSR initiatives that the company is running, because if you are able to, क्योंकि क्या होता है CSR initiative पे कोई ध्यान ही नहीं देता है. Nobody, even उनके खुद के कंपनी वाले ध्यान नहीं देते और वो HR लोग करते रहते हैं अपना. So if you as a prospective employee candidate are able to quote the names of the CSR initiatives, believe me, the HR or the interviewer will be very, very impressed. Now coming to a few things that you should follow during GD, that is, no, the first is, if you are making the first entry, again, if you don't have anything to add immediately, या आपको लग रहा है कि भाई I don't have anything to add right now, ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको कूद पड़ना है शुरू में. So if you are making the first entry, make sure that you follow it up with relevant points. Know the difference between starting and initiating. For example, starting में मतलब हम कूद जाते हैं और कुछ भी बोलेंगे वहां पे कि भाई हमने तो start कर दिया. In initiating, you are building a dialogue with the other members of the GD. You are carrying a conversation with them, because in corporate, what do they check? कि भाई आप दूसरों को ऊपर कैसा बोल सकते हो, या are you able to talk over others? No, they see how you are able to communicate with others and build a consensus. So make sure if you are opening it, you initiate the GD rather than just starting it. Handle counter arguments gracefully. अगर कोई आपसे अग्री नहीं कर रहा है या किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया और पता है शायद वो आपका दोस्त ही हो, क्या पता, वहां प्लेसमेंट में बहुत कुछ होता है. So don't get too much what will I say, aggressive or too much offended if somebody is countering your arguments. Take them gracefully and make sure you put your point across. Acknowledgement is very important. क्या होता है, when the GD round is going on, हम अंदर से बहुत नर्वस रहते हैं और हम सोचते हैं कि भाई थोड़ा सा क्वाइट हो और मैं अब घुस के कुछ बात करूं, we wait for that chance to input our statement or our explanation. So हम directly कूद पड़ते हैं हमें जो बोलना है. Rather than that, acknowledge the person who spoke before you, or acknowledge the person who spoke before 2 times before you. For example, जब मेरा टर्न आया था, so let's say I have 2 people who have spoken before me, Kshitij and Anita. They have both spoken before me. So when I start my sentence, मैं directly नहीं कूदूंगी. I'll say, as Kshitij has just elaborated on this point, and before him, Anita showed light on this aspect. I feel, what it shows? It shows that you're listening to the people rather than just being inside your head. So make sure आप at least एक बंदे को acknowledge करो उस GD में. Follow your statements with examples, give facts and industry relevant examples. Make sure that you show the recruiter that you can view the problem from multiple dimensions. अलग अलग अलग. इसका ना मैं आगे आपको एक शॉर्टकट भी बताऊंगी. Now, if you are finding it very difficult in the GD round, you don't know what to say. होता है कई बार इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सा टॉपिक आता है कि आपको लगता है कि हे भगवान अब मैं क्या बोलूं इसमें. मेरे साथ भी हुआ है. आई थिंक आई हैड अ टॉपिक ऑफ आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस इन मार्केटिंग और पता नहीं क्या तो भी था और मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा था मैं क्या बोलूं. आफ्टर दैट आई विल गिव अ लॉट ऑफ क्रेडिट टू आदरणीय सुमन जी's मास्टर क्लास बिकॉज थोड़ा जो मुझे समझ में आया था मैंने वो बोला था. इफ यू डोंट नो व्हाट टू से आप बाकी लोगों का रिकैप कर दो. आपके जीडी में there will be other people who are also speaking. You just take points from all of them and you create your own point. This is something you can do if you don't know what to say. Also show them that you are a team player. You can build a consensus. You can even agree with other people. बस काटने के लिए नहीं काटना है लोगों को. You carry forward a conversation because corporates are looking for a team player, and it also shows your leadership. Your leadership skills. A few things to avoid speaking randomly. And I remember last month ही placement season चल रहा था and I was judging a panel, a GD panel, and there was this one student who was, I think, a fresher, and he was so nervous and he was just randomly babbling. वो बोलने के लिए बोले जा रहा था. So then later I told him कि Nikhil, are you okay? If you want, you can drink some water, take things take things okay, you can go for 1 minute and come back. So randomly nahi bolna hai. Make sure you make eye contact. See, if you are doing a physical GD, then तो आप अपने सामने वाले को देखो, आप बगल वाले को देखो. Make sure you make eye contact with all of them. हाँ, सिर्फ आपके दोस्त से ही नहीं eye contact करना है या जो आपसे agree कर रहा है उससे नहीं. Make eye contact with everyone. If it is a digital GD, क्योंकि right now placements are going on, so I'm guessing your GD rounds are happening virtually. Make sure that you look at the camera and not the screen, because most of the times I see students, in fact when I'm interviewing them, I see them कि वो screen पे देख के बात करते हैं, which is natural because मैं भी तो screen पे ही आ रही हूँ, but that is not eye contact. So look at the camera while speaking. अगर आपको लगता है कि भाई मैं भूल जाती हूँ, होता है many times, out of habit, because we are habituated to looking at the screen, we don't remember. So put a small sticker next to your laptop का webcam. एक छोटा स्टिकर लगा दो. अगर स्टिकर नहीं है तो घर पे मम्मी की बिंदी जरूर होगी. Make sure you put a bindi next to your webcam just to remind you that you have to look at the camera. Don't give a fake start. This was very funny. This happened last month, 1.5 months back when I was sitting in a panel. One student really wanted to start the GD. भाई कुछ भी हो, दुनिया इधर की उधर हो जाए, मैंने start करना है. He jumped into the conversation and midway of the statement he forgot what he was saying. And believe me, it was very funny. बाद में हम लोगों को हंसी आ रही थी. So do not give fake starts. Do not severely criticize anyone. Someone might have said something which you do not agree with, or if even if you think that it is very wrong, do not try to show them down. किसी को नीचा मत दिखाओ. Do not severely criticize them. See, they have a right to say what they want. Let them say it. You say whatever points you feel are correct. Do not monopolize the conversation. And ये होता था कि भाई अगर आपके GD में 2-3 दोस्त हैं, some of your friends are there, what they will do, they will keep agreeing with each other. वो एक दूसरे को back करते हैं. And ये clearly recruiters को दिखता है. भाई recruiters इतने लोगों को interview करते हैं. They can clearly see it. है ना? So make sure you don't monopolize it. Handle counterpoints gracefully and don't get into unnecessary arguments. I remember एक कहीं चंडीगढ़ के किसी कॉलेज का हम लोग एक रिक्रूटमेंट जीडी ले रहे थे. वो इतना गुस्सा हो गए, आपस में लड़ पड़े. Like seriously, they started fighting among themselves. So in the middle, we canceled the GD. Don't get into unnecessary arguments, fish market situation. उसको मत बनाना. If others are fighting, let them fight it out. You take a step back. Now coming to types of GD topics and how to handle them, because many students they feel कि GD topic is the gateway to a good placement. क्योंकि अगर GD clear नहीं होता तो PI round तो आता ही नहीं है. So you need to make sure that you ace your GD. So I'll explain to you a little bit about how the companies decide and the companies divide up their topics. So you have two types of topics, factual and abstract. फैक्चुअल में एक्चुअल फैक्ट्स होंगे, एक्चुअल पॉइंट्स दैट हैव हैपेंड रिलेटेड टू बिजनेस, रिलेटेड टू फाइनेंस और रिलेटेड टू मार्केट. In this, they are testing how well you keep up with the market, how well you are able to remember salient points, and how well you are able to apply those salient points into your discussion. Then you have abstract topics, जिसमें आप themes को interpret करते हो और आपने जो मर्जी आप बोलते हो. And guys, I've already spoken to you about abstract topics. Remember when I had said that make sure that you give two industry relevant examples, भले ही कोई भी abstract topic आपके पास आए. So in factual, you have factual generic and factual specific. Factual generic topics are broader topics. They are more related to industry. Factual specific topics are more related to specific concepts or specific events that have happened in the industry. I'll explain. For example, factual generic mein you have Indo-China relations or fate of the hospitality industry post-COVID. These are broader topics. आप Indo-China में कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. Means you can talk about the financial impact, you can talk about social impact, you can talk about political impact, if there is any military or security impact. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. You do need facts, but in a broader sense. Fate of hospitality industry also कुछ specific नहीं है. You do need to know facts related to the hospitality industry, but not to any specific event. Now coming to factual specific, इसमें actual happenings that have happened, उसके related specific facts you will be required to remember. For example, farm bills and their impact on farmers. What were the farm bills? How was it impacting farmers? What happened after that? आपको specific occurrences याद रखनी है. Then you know what were WHO's immediate efforts to curb the COVID pandemic. तो जब COVID आया ही था, तो WHO ने एक 12 स्टेप प्रोग्राम किया था. करा तो कुछ भी नहीं, फ्लॉप तो सभी हो गया था उनका, बट दिखाने के लिए उन्होंने एक 12 स्टेप प्रोग्राम लगाया था. So what were the 12 steps that they had put? What was the impact? How did they do it? This is factual specific. Make sure you prepare according to both, because companies like to mix it up. Now many students have asked me, because they have virtual GD preparation, virtually वो GD दे रहे हैं, तो कौन सी चीजें उन्हें ध्यान में रखनी है. Firstly, know the rules of the GD. And the reason I'm talking about the rules is, many times you have two broad types of GDs. पहले GD round में it is just like a physical GD. They announce the topic और उसके बाद you can speak as you wish. और उसमें बहुत ज्यादा फिश मार्केट हो जाता है, लोग एक दूसरे के ऊपर बोलते हैं. It is like a mayhem on the screen. Then you have another type of GD where after the topic, each person is given 1 to 2 minutes to put their point and you go turn by turn. So make sure you listen to what the rules are. You have a good internet connectivity. वहां पे हम ना ये excuse नहीं दे सकते कि मैम नेटवर्क नहीं था और मैं गांव में हूँ और यहाँ वहां हूँ वगैरह वगैरह और मुझे नेटवर्क नहीं आ रहा है. आप पहले से सेटिंग्स चेक करिए. मेक श्योर दैट यू हैव अनइंटरप्टेड इंटरनेट. मेक श्योर द एम्बियंस इज गुड. मतलब आप यहाँ पे इंटरव्यू दे रहे हो और पीछे मम्मी वहां छोले भिगो रही है, वो नहीं चल सकता. मेक श्योर योर फेस योर बैक इज टुवर्ड्स अ वॉल. यू हैव प्रॉपर लाइट ऑन योर फेस. So last week I had taken an interview for one candidate from operations, and he sat and the tube light was above his head. तो एकदम काला सा blurry सा उसका चेहरा आ रहा था. So then I told him that I'm not able to see your face properly. Let's do one thing. Let's turn around the camera so you face the light. So then that बेचारा वो कैंडिडेट उसने कहा नहीं नहीं मैम पीछे तो मेरा बेड है और बेड पे पूरा एक पहाड़ कपड़े रखे हुए हैं. So I said okay fine, अभी आप जैसा इंटरव्यू दे दीजिए. So make sure your room is clean, your background is clean, preferably if you are in a closed room. Also there should be some light on your face. आप ट्यूबलाइट के सामने बैठ सकते हैं ताकि आपके चेहरे पे आए. आप खिड़की के ऑपोजिट बैठ सकते हैं. और if you have a lamp, you can make sure that the lamp light is coming on your face. Make sure you are properly groomed. ऑल्सो अरेंजमेंट्स के साथ प्रैक्टिस करने का है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ इट्स अ जूम इंटरव्यू और टीम्स इंटरव्यू, आप 1-2 दिन पहले से उसको प्रैक्टिस करिए. यू डू इट इन फ्रंट ऑफ योर फ्रेंड्स एंड फैमिली जस्ट टू मेक श्योर दैट यू नो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. ठीक है. देयर वाज दिस वन कैंडिडेट, उसका दूसरा साइड पे नेटफ्लिक्स खोल के रखा था उसने, एंड व्हेन ही शेयर्ड हिज स्क्रीन, आई डोंट नो हाउ ही शेयर्ड हिज स्क्रीन, बट वो आ गया वहां पे. सो मेक श्योर दैट यू आर वेल प्रैक्टिस्ड व्हेन यू आर गिविंग एन इंटरव्यू. नाउ कमिंग टू जीडी हैक्स. इफ for some reason you don't know what to say, आपको बिल्कुल नहीं समझ आ रहा कि मैं क्या बोलूं, so you can use these shortcuts that I had written down. So you have the masters, pieces, bean, pop and spell technique. Means अगर बिल्कुल नहीं समझ आ रहा, so then you use these structures to base your GD answer on. For example, in masters you have media, art, technology, education. इसका एक फोटो ले लो, ये काम में आएगा. And for any MBA students in the audience, use the spell technique because this gives the maximum I will say conversions. According to our experience, this is what recruiters are looking for: the social impact, political impact, economic, legal, and technological impact. Now, coming to your PI, a few very important things that you should make sure that you implement in your PI while preparing for your PI. तो क्या क्या नहीं करना है? First thing, do not show arrogance. I remember there was this one student who was from some very Fadu college of Delhi University और उसका GPA बड़ा अच्छा था, and he was a decent candidate, but the way he spoke to the recruiter, it clearly showed off arrogance, and he had a few achievements in his CV also, which was amazing. But at the same time, you're beginning your corporate journey, so make sure you come across as a team player and as a humble candidate. So don't show arrogance, don't show lack of attention or energy. कई बार वो जो बच्चे होते हैं वो इधर उधर देखने लगते हैं. So then I have to say, look at me, I'm over here, start looking at the camera. So make sure you're making eye contact with the camera. Don't give excuses. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द रिक्रूटर माइट आस्क यू कि भाई आपका कॉलेज का जीपीए तो अच्छा नहीं है, या आपका 10th के मार्क्स कम है, आपके 12th के मार्क्स कम है. सो डोंट से नहीं नहीं उस वक्त मेरा पाँव टूट गया था तो मैं पढ़ नहीं पाया था, उस वक्त ये हो गया था. The moment we start giving excuses, it raises a red flag for the recruiter. So at that time, you can say that, yes, sir, I acknowledge that this is something that is lacking from my background, but these are the activities that I did to overcome that. For example, during my GDPI, मुझे पूछा था कि आपको तो relevant work experience नहीं है, and now you directly want to move into a marketing and branding role. So how do we know that you will be able to handle it? So at that time, and this is the time when you talk about CI internships. So I told them that, I agree that I might not have the relevant required work ex, but I have made sure that I get the industry exposure. I have executed these projects. This is the amount of fundraising that I have done. I have led a team of 5 people where we did sales of this many numbers. And at that time, because once you do CI internship well, you get promoted to a team leader. And as a team leader, you lead a team of 4 5 people. And if your team performs well, then you get the credit of it as well, right? So you can even put it in your CV. So during my internship, I was the first LOR holder and the top fundraiser. I had raised over 1.6 lakh rupees. And then when I got promoted as a team leader, मेरी team ने 5.5 लाख से ऊपर raise कर लिया था. So these are the facts that I was able to tell to the recruiter, and believe me, it impresses them greatly. So make sure you talk about those things. Do not condemn any past institutions. मतलब आपका पुराना कॉलेज या आपकी पुरानी जॉब भले ही वो बहुत ही गंदे रहे होंगे, बट रिक्रूटर के सामने उन्हें गाली मत देना. ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट दीज थिंग्स in a positive way, because that is a red flag. Don't show aversion to schoolwork. The reason I wrote this was, in the month of September, I had taken for one role, I had taken an interview of a student, and I don't know why he was an MBA student and he kept telling, नहीं नहीं MBA में तो GPA का क्या role है, it is your skills that matter, it is this that matters. See, it might be that, but you cannot tell this to a recruiter कि भाई marks तो matter करते ही नहीं है, right? So don't show aversion to any kind of schoolwork. Don't be uncertain and indecisive. Means when you're asked a question, make sure you give it in a specific framework. And you know what I'm talking about? Your short-term and long-term goals. क्योंकि make sure you have specific goals. भले ही अभी इतना clarity नहीं है, तो you start writing and preparing. आपके goals specific होने चाहिए. Don't show any prejudice or bias against anybody. Don't go late to the interview. Don't contradict your own answers. And this we do a lot when we take interviews, कि हम लोग उनको stress में डाल देते हैं, उन्हीं की बातें उन पे घुमा देते हैं, कई बार बिल्कुल मना कर देते कि भाई आप तो जो बोल रहे हो गलत है, we don't agree with this. Make sure that if you believe in something, you stick with your conviction, because we are actually checking if you are sticking with your convictions. Don't glorify past experiences dating back to school. I've had a few candidates who tell me हम 8th standard में कराटे में blue belt लेके आए थे, या हमने 12th में swimming में first prize जीता है. Those are wonderful achievements, but they are not relevant to the JD or the job role that I'm trying to fill, right? So school achievements are wonderful, but don't keep going back to them again and again. A few things that you must do is clear communication. Believe me, I am an introvert by nature, तो मुझे बोलने में दिक्कत आती है. I feel shy talking, especially if I'm sitting in an interview or I'm talking one on one. I get a little bit of stage fright. So communication was an issue for me, and through CI internships, because कितना आपको communicate करना पड़ता है, right? I had to convince so many people for my fundraising campaign. So I learned how to communicate effectively. So make sure that that is very, very on point. Make sure you dress appropriately, you make eye contact. Many of these points I've already covered before, so I'll go fast. Be graceful in face of criticism. Company knowledge के सारे points I hope आपने note किए होंगे. Think before answering. Many times students are so nervous that they blurt out the first answer that comes to their head. So when they are asking your question, take a pause of 1 second. अगर आता भी है तो दिखाओ कि हम 1-2 सेकंड सोच रहे हैं. Why? Because it shows to the recruiter that you think before you speak, or you think before you put your ideas across. Make sure you know your key concepts, आपकी जो भी specialization है, any papers, any projects. Really, we like it if you have done project, and this is a very good time to talk about CI internships, or put it in your CV in a very attractive manner. Now, storytelling is something that I greatly advise all the students. So what does it mean to tell stories? ऐसा नहीं कि आप लंबी चौड़ी कहानियां बना रहे हैं. Whenever you talk about yourself, you weave a few real life examples into your narrative, because the first question that the recruiter asks is, tell me a little about yourself. तो उसमें वो same आंसर नहीं देने का है कि I did my schooling from this school, then I did my engineering from that school, that college, then I worked at Infosys, Wipro, Capgemini for 2 years. फिर सोचा यार इंजीनियरिंग तो जम नहीं रही है, चलो MBA ट्राई करते हैं. MBA में भी फाइनेंस ऑपरेशन समझ नहीं आता तो मार्केटिंग में आ गए. So I know you don't talk like that, but more or less a chronology is followed, which every student sees. At that time, if you are able to put across your narrative in an interesting manner, believe me, it really impresses the recruiter and they get interested in your story. So students ask me that what are the types of stories that we can tell, and what are the types of stories that we should not tell when you are giving examples. For example, आपने CV में भी कुछ चीजें लिखी होंगी. In that, if you're talking about your achievements, and if you're able to tell a story about it, or if you're talking about your strengths and your weaknesses and you're able to tell a story about it, it really shows the recruiter that you know what you're talking about. So first story that you can tell is about solving problems. When in your last job or in your last college project, or maybe if you're part of some committee and you came across some problem, how did you creatively solve it? अगर आपका कोई project submit करना था, how did you do it in less time? How did you save the company money? How did you cover your sales targets? How did you get your marketing KPIs? या जो भी आपके projects की, anywhere जहाँ पे creativity आती है, वैसी 2 stories बना के रट्टा मार लेना और वो stories आप सुनाओ recruiter को. Then overcoming challenges. Everybody loves the underdog. Everybody loves someone who has overcome things. तो आपको एक क्वेश्चन रिक्रूटर ऐसा भी पूछेगा, टॉक अबाउट 2 डिफिकल्ट इंस्टेंसेस इन योर लाइफ एंड हाउ डिड यू ओवरकम इट. At that time, if you're able to talk about real solid touching incidents with a little bit of connection to your strengths, this really impresses the recruiter. When मुझसे पूछा था, at that time I talked about my CI internship experience, because I was an introvert by nature, and anyone who is introvert or who has social anxiety like I do, आपको समझ में सच में आएगा कि सामने वाले इंसान से हम बात भी नहीं कर पाते हैं. हमें बहुत शाय फील होता है अगर हम एक कमरे में घुसते हैं और वहां पे 10-12 लोग भी हैं या ज्यादा लोग हैं, तो हमें we start freezing over. It is very difficult for us to talk. So how I overcame that, and I was part of the sales module because I did that very seriously. So how did I overcome that challenge? How did I go on to win the letter of recommendation and become the top fundraiser and then get promoted as a team leader? And then again, a leadership challenge that I faced. Initially I was very shy to even lead my team. So then how did I work towards making my team the top fundraiser and the top performing team? Those were the challenges that I talked about, and the recruiter really could connect with it. That actually made a very good impression on her. Bouncing back from mistakes. So अगर आपने कोई गलती किया है, ऐसे कोई बहुत बड़ी बड़ी गलती भी मत बता देना कि वो उनको लगे कि आप बहुत ही खतरनाक कैंडिडेट हो, but a couple of medium to less medium mistakes that you can talk about, and what did you do to overcome that. For example, when I had entered MBA, I had made the mistake of initially entering business competitions on my own. मुझे लगता था कि भाई मेरे साथ तो कोई team up ही नहीं करेगा, and I didn't even ask people, would you like to team up with me? Because I was a shy person. I felt shy talking to people. But then slowly I realized, as Param Pujya Gurudev ji says, कि संगठन में शक्ति होती है. You are always stronger in a team or in a group. So then I started talking to people and I started teaming up, and then we started winning. So bouncing from mistakes, then making good decisions. What were those decisions that helped you become successful? For example, कोई crisis situation है या कोई project में problem आ गई, and you made these 2 key decisions which helped you become, which helped the project become successful. Those are the type of stories that you can talk about. Working well with others. इसमें you can talk about CI internships because you work with a lot of other students and other team members. You can talk about आपका कोई committee है, committee में कोई event कराया है, किसी project में आपने काम किया है. In your past work, if you have done some sort of a project, talk about that. Recruiters like to hear how well you work with others. Also being relatable and authentic. For example, if you have any hobbies, if you have any passions, for example, मुझसे पूछा था, what do you like to do for fun? What is something that you're really afraid of? ऐसी kind of things recruiter कभी कभी पूछते हैं. So then I had told them that, I like to be part of empowerment initiatives. I'm very passionate about helping the tribal and rural communities. और उसमें मैंने, CI conducts these camps in Dandewadi village and Raigad district. वो काफी interiors में camps conduct करते हैं. And it is just like a 2 to 3 hour drive from Mumbai. And मैं उस वक्त पुणे में थी. My MBA college is in Pune. So I also used to come. I could come and I had gone into the villages. I had pictures with those rural and tribal people. So I talked about my experiences there. And because this was an actual real incident, this was actual project. So the recruiter told me, that, I can see how passionate you are. Your eyes are shining when you're talking about this. So being relatable, being authentic really helps the recruiter connect with you. So अगर आपकी, internship related भी कुछ stories है या आपने, कोई projects किए हुए हैं, make sure you talk about these. This will really, really impress the recruiter.